Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome home. Welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio, where we stand for world-class education, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture. This is one of my favorite shows as we bring our dear friends who are expert correspondents in the UK to share with us the latest and greatest of what's going on. Let's welcome the star of our show, DIANN FLOYD BOEHM. Hello, DIANN.
Hi, it's great to see you. I hope you had a happy 4th.
I was here working, my friend. I hope you had a happy 4th.
Right.
I saw the pictures. So where in the world are you today?
I'm outside of Houston in Kingwood.
Okay,
and
very
it's
nice.
known for living among the animals of the forest. So it's lovely.
That is beautiful. I'm glad you could join us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And joining us from somewhere else in the world, it's Helena Chard. Hello.
Hi, hello ladies, lovely to see you. So I am recording from a lovely little quaint village in Cyprus, and it's called Galavassos, and it's beautiful. It's beautifully hot as well. So I'm in a completely different setup, but it's very different. Isn't it amazing how we can just be so international here?
It's
Still be chatting. I love it. Love it.
And Cyprus is gorgeous.
Thank you. I've got this sort of absolutely fabulous kind of shirt on. You know, I don't know if you know AbFab. Yeah, you must know AbFab. You know, Joanna Lumley and Adina and everything. I felt it was quite,
it looks beautiful on you.
Thank you.
Well, ladies, we could chat away. We have two handsome gentlemen backstage. Let's bring them out. Mr. Ian Pelham-Turner, hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's another very overcast day in London. I don't know what it's like in Scotland, but I don't believe this weather. That do you know what? As you probably know, Wimbledon tennis has started this week, and what goes with Wimbledon tennis? The rain.
Oh no!
Umbrellas.
The week before we have a heat wave. When it finishes, we're going to have a heat wave, but during Wimbledon fortnight, no, it's got to be the rain.
Well, thanks for being here. And let's welcome Mr. Simon MacDonald, who is celebrating. Hello, welcome.
Hello, it's nice to be back. Well, yes, the weather here is actually quite nice today, but rule of thumb is if it's bad down around the London area, then we get it beautiful. So the sun is out today. I'm really just going to rub this into you a bit, Ian, today. But no, the sun's out today for a change. We've had rain. We've had, well, it wasn't so much the rain coming down. It was more the tide coming down rather than the tide coming in. It was pretty horrendous rain, but there we are. So we've got nice sunshine today. Maybe not as nice as Helena's got it, though, but we're doing our best.
Really hot here.
It's hot here as well in New Jersey. So I know, but we have a lot to celebrate. I know, Simon, you've had some incredible things that have been going on. We've got some beautiful pictures. And Helena and Ian, you, of course, have some great news that you're going to share with us. And Diane and I are just here for the ride, folks. So.
That's right.
Let's start off with Simon. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you and your family are celebrating, as well as many others.
Well, I haven't heard from my son Paul for a wee while. Usually that means he's very, very busy. I didn't realize how busy he was until I had a phone call yesterday and it started talking about the new sword of Scotland, the state sword called the Elizabeth sword. And well, Paul, he makes swords and he does fight choreography for movies and so on. And he made this new sword, the Elizabeth sword, which is now state sword of Scotland. I mean, it's a fantastic honor. And it's been displayed well and truly today, because today has been the presentation of what they call the honours of Scotland, which is basically the Scottish Crown Jewels. Now, the Scottish Crown Jewels, they're far older than the English ones, and they date back to the 1500s. They're on display all the time in Edinburgh Castle, and now this new edition, the Elizabeth sword, is going to be on display for evermore there. So I was absolutely thrilled that Paul should get this contract. I called it the crowning glory of his career, because it really is. I mean, I can't top this one. This is really something else. So I believe we have lots of photographs of the sword, sort of before, during, and after. And today, of course, it was really brought to the fore with the ceremony, which we've just completed in St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. It was an incredible presentation today, absolutely wonderful. So I'm so proud of Paul, and I know the work he does and the time it takes to make one of these swords. This particular sword, the work started on it about a year ago, and that was it in its infancy, with the blade having its first grindings to bring it into being the royal blade that it is today. So it's just over a year, I think it is, altogether it's taken to build this sword, and it's involved other people as well in the building of the hilt of it, and the scabbard, and all the gold inlay which has gone in the lettering. Now that's Paul holding the completed sword in its scabbard. And that is one of the first photographs that was actually taken of the sword, and this was before it was taken to Edinburgh. This was actually at his armory, at his home. So so honoured to have this. Really,
magnificent.
Wow.
The sword weighs 7.5 kilos, which is quite a bit. 7.5 kilos must be. Anybody got a calculator out? It's quite a lot. I can assure you. It's 5, 6, 7 kilos. So it's going to be about 15 to 17 pounds in your weight. So to carry that around in a ceremony takes a little bit of strength to do. And Dame Catherine Granger had the honour of taking it to the King today in St. Giles Cathedral. Now, I think that's the hilt of the sword. Absolutely beautiful, all done in gold. And the blade itself is a Damascus steel. Now, Damascus steel is that beautiful patterned steel work that you see in in ceremonial pieces, and just to get the right grooves, or fullering as they call it, going down there so that it doesn't overlap and spoil the pattern of it, takes enormous skill and an incredible amount of time. So really exquisite piece, this sword, and it will be still there in 500 years time, sitting in Edinburgh Castle on display for the world to see.
Wow.
So monumental piece. And there he is, with the team, Mark Dennis, who is the designer of the sword, although everybody there contributed to it. And Alan Beattie Harriott is a sculptor, made the hilt. And Peter Waugh, who's a videographer, and he's documented the entire process as well. So I'm dying to see this documentary coming out. And then Paul, of course, on the right there with handling the sword. So that was the completed team. And the second from the left, I believe that's the Lord Lion, who is looks after all the heraldry and pomp and circumstance of Scotland. So the sword itself, you probably all saw the coronation in London, and Penny Mordaunt, who carried in the sword there. Well, this sword of Scotland now weighs just over twice the amount of the sword they had in London, and everybody was getting very tetchy about the exercise she must have been doing to get used to carrying that sword in without dropping it or without the arms collapsing. So here's one here, up here. We've got one that weighs twice as much.
Wow.
I have a question, Simon, which it might sound a little bit ridiculous, but given that it's a ceremonial piece, are the criteria when it's being created, the weight and the I don't know how you describe it, but if it were actually going to be used in a battle, in a duel or something, do they actually, is it made to those specifications, if that makes any sense?
Well, the weights are actually, the weight of a sword is crucial to get the balance right as well, and it's quite a fine art to get that down. But swords built for battle have maybe different tolerances altogether. I mean, Paul does a lot of reproductions and very exact reproductions, just one-offs of famous swords. And so, he goes down to the nearest gram or 2 grams in weight to get it absolutely right and as authentic as possible. He also makes the fighting knives as well now that are used by our special forces and the commandos. And one of his great accolades a few years ago was a commission he got to build 2 fighting knives, one the British commando type knife and the one used by the US special forces. And it was made out of a single piece of steel from Twin Towers. And Paul was asked to create these 2 knives out of the Twin Towers steel. And they flew Paul over to Washington with the knives, and it was the vice president who presided over the presentation of these knives to the chief of the military staff in America, and we'd also had a general from the British forces there as well. So it was quite a ceremony as well. But this one he's had now, this one takes the biscuit, really. He had a private audience with King Charles at Holyrood Palace, as we are there. He's way down at the bottom, actually. Charles is looking at him. It's now, they had quite a long discussion about the technicalities of the sword, and then would asked him about the about ski and do's. The ski and do, that's as a knife which I have here, which Paul actually made for me. It's the one that's worn down the sock when you're wearing the kilt, and then the dirk, which is worn at the waist when you're wearing the kilt as well. So King Charles asked Paul a lot about this with great interest, and he'd sort of signalled his equerry to make sure that he got Paul's details for later on, which is, says, I like your work. So let's see what transpires from that one. So it was a very interesting day on Monday. Today he was in the 100 people who were selected to join in with the royal procession as well. So he was there. So this is the ski and do. It's a Damascus blade. It's actually needing service. So Paul is going to get hold of this and service it. The horn there is the antler of a roe deer, and which I shot the roe deer. Paul made the ski and do and the scabbard to go with it as well. So I wear this whenever I wear the kilt. That is down my sock.
Wow.
And it's very sharp. It really is. It's a very, very sharp blade, but it's crafted in the traditional ski and do style. Ski and do in the Gaelic means the dark knife or a black death. So it's quite an imposing piece.
Now, why is it worn in the sock?
It's supposed to be a concealed knife. So it's worn fairly deep down the sock, and it's just really the very top which you see out of the sock, and that's it. But the rest is hidden down there. I remember having great problem trying to get into the American embassy in London one year because I was wearing the ski and do, and they really don't like you going in there if you're armed. So,
No.
so after discussions, pointed out that in actual fact it is part of our national dress. So I think there were a few phone calls made, and then said, "Okay, you can come in." So that's it. You can wear it as well. But they did keep a very close eye on me all the way through as well, and restricted the amount I could drink as well. And they did actually sort of say, "Okay, sir, but you can have no more than 2 glasses of champagne." Thank you.
I have a question for you. What's the process of selecting the person, in this case, the dame, who carries the sword?
Somebody who's very fit, I think, is probably the answer. No, this comes through the hierarchy within the country, but the exact selection process, I'm not sure how they work that one out at all. I know the crown was carried in the ceremony today by the Duke of Hamilton, who has been the crown bearer for the Scottish crown for generations. And the young Duke of Hamilton today, I knew his father very well, a great character, and he enjoyed his sailing and scuba diving and so on as well. So yes, we had some pretty raucous tales to tell on the Isle of Egg one year, but yes, so he has been traditionally the crown bearer for the Scottish crown.
Thank you.
Simon, we have some additional photographs if you would like to walk us through.
Yes, this is the Duke of Hamilton with the crown, presenting it to the king, and the king literally just touches it, and then they say a few words, and away they go. The sword was actually the first one that's presented to him. That it always takes precedence even over the crown, surprisingly, and that's the scepter as well, the royal scepter with a beautiful. The end piece on it is absolutely magnificent. And again, this is dates back to the early 1600s, so it's been on the go a while. The chap in the very elaborate uniform there is the Lord Lion of Scotland, and that's Charles accepting King Charles accepting the sword. He looks as if he could use it. And that's actually the sword leaving the ceremony at the end of it today. So that was at about 24 hour time today. So 20 minutes before the show started. Well done in getting it done in time. That's the king there, obviously looking quite sort of serious about the whole thing, and 2 young ladies looking absolutely gobsmacked in the background. And this is the Stone of Destiny, sometimes known as the Stone of Scone, and all kings and queens have been crowned on that. The coronation, it was in the coronation, under the coronation chair. So, King Charles sat on the coronation chair to be crowned on top of that stone. His mother did, the grandfather, and so on, going back hundreds of years. The chap who's just over the top of that in the dark suit there is Hamza Yousaf. He's Scotland's first minister, which is like prime minister in Scotland. And the Lord Lion as well, catching up in his bedtime reading. And there's the battered crown. It's yes, oh dear. There is, I believe, a story. I must find out what it was, how it got its bashing. The Duke of Hamilton didn't drop it, but I know that during the war, the crown jewels were hidden in an old well in Edinburgh Castle, just in case the place was taken over. And also in Cromwellian times, going back to early 1600s or mid 1600s, I think it was. Again, they were squirreled away and hidden in a chest and then hidden somewhere. And I believe that is about the time when it got dented. But the exact story, I'm not certain.
Incredible photographs. Thank you so much for sharing them with us.
Amazing.
So just to say, so the sword was recommissioned because the original one from the 16th century is too fragile. That's That's it.
Yes,
That's
that's
right,
right.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. They couldn't get the staff in those days to make them properly, you know. So they had to wait until Paul was born.
So exciting. It's amazing. And just something to add to it, that this week in Scotland, it's known as Holyrood Week, I think, which is actually Royal Week each year in
Yes, Royal Week.
Scotland. So a really special time, and thousands of people, the monarch meets thousands of people at the palace, at Holyrood House Palace. And I think it's to do with, you know, celebrating Scottish culture, achievement and community. So, and celebrating people and their good work. So it's quite important that it's at this time of year each year. The whole event today is amazing. And I think there's been such good feedback from people that were so excited to meet King Charles, and he's meeting the people. And each day, I don't know if people saw the garden party. I think there was thousands of people there that they entertained. Yeah, so it's a really it's a very special time, and I'm sure Simon can elaborate on it.
Yes. Oh yes, it is. I mean, Royal Week in or Hollywood Week is Holyrood Week. I keep saying Holyrood. So it's all show, and it's a very special time. I mean, any tourists coming into Edinburgh then, I mean, Edinburgh's always full of tourists, but this time of the year it's jam-packed. And I mean, today they really did it. You know, they struck gold today. It was beautiful ceremony. The Royal Mile, which is just exactly a mile long from Edinburgh Castle right down to Holyrood Palace, or the other way around, is quite narrow, and it's an old cobbled street. So the Royal Horse Guards and everything, they were quite closely bunched up together there. But an interesting thing with the Scottish monarchy is actually the oldest monarchy in the world. And the sad thing about today is there were a load of protesters there saying, "Not our king," and so on. And I mean, these people, I really don't know what they're thinking about. You know, it's very, very sad to see that with a big banner saying "Not our king," and so on, and you know, king and queen having to go past that. And of course, William and Catherine were there as well today, so all dressed in the robes of the Knights of the Thistle, which is you know, one of the Scottish Grand Orders. But King Charles has actually got a lot of Scottish blood in him, and he embraces Scotland wholeheartedly. He's very much into the culture of Scotland. He's incredibly knowledgeable about old culture and traditions going back over the years as well. But proportionately, he has a lot of Scottish blood in him. I think probably more Scottish blood than English. And there's a bit of Greek there somewhere as well. But Helena's gone to Cyprus to learn more about that today. But yes, he's you know, he has his disproportionately Scottish our advantage. The crown wouldn't fit him. The Scottish crown wouldn't actually fit him. It's very small. It was used to crown Mary, Queen of Scots, years ago, but she was very, very young at the time. And James I of England, who was James VI of Scotland as well, but he was only about 8 months old when he was crowned. So
oh my gosh,
I think they could probably sort of sit him in the crown and hold it up. He explains the odd dent here and there as well. And there's maybe a little
crown stroller.
That's a good one.
Helena, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, because I wasn't there, and I haven't seen it as yet, but I know that lots of royalists have been upset because the protesters outside St Giles's Cathedral, they say that they were actually in prime position. So they were chanting "Not my king," but not only that, they were in a position which was absolutely fantastic. I don't know if that's the case. It's just what I've heard on the grapevine. Is that the case, that they were positioned in such a fantastic place?
Yeah, they were in a pretty good position. Maybe a little bit further down they'd like to be, but they were the police were very clever. They corralled them all, so really to go in the one spot, and it was an area which was actually a bit wider so they could get them all in, because there were quite a few of them there. The barriers they had today were a little bit higher than they'd normally have, because they were very worried about the stop oil protesters who are really making a misery of many occasions lives just now by scattering orange powder here and there and just gluing themselves to pavements and what have you. And it's there's an awful lot of revolting people in the country, shall we say, or people revolting. Depends which way around you look at it. But the police were very worried that the stop oil protesters were going to start hurling bags of orange powder about the place. It wouldn't look very good if it landed on the bonnet of the royal car. So that was a big concern. So they raised the barriers in case any of them tried to climb over and make a nuisance of themselves. Fortunately, none of that happened. So it just went well. The whole ceremony went like clockwork, and it was timed to the second. It was absolutely incredible. And it finished off with a big fly past from the Royal Air Force Red Arrows as well, right down the Royal Mile, with the blue, white and red smoke coming out the tails. Magnificent sight to see, and a 21-gun salute off Edinburgh Castle as well. So that would keep all the pigeons awake and flying out the way. I don't know if they shot any down. There we are.
Ian, what are you thinking over there?
I mean, it's an interesting week this week, and Simon is quite right. It's the Pride of Scotland Holyrood week as well. I think, but it's interesting to get a reflection from other parts of the world as well, because I was just saying to you just before I came on that I've just been asked to write a quick bit for Fox. And one of the questions that they asked me is, how relevant do you think William and Kate will find Scotland? Is it sort of something that's going to sort of really they're going to buy into or not? And I think that the reality at the moment is it's a very interesting tradition. Obviously, a lot of Scotland was where obviously they had wonderful holidays. It's obviously, unfortunately, where the Queen died, and it's obviously as well where William was told by Charles that Diana had died as well. So it has some very sort of up and down memories, I think, of Scotland. But I think as well, with the type of traditions, the thing that I always found interesting was that Charles, Simon is quite right, Charles really envelops himself in Scottish tradition. So I'm told that whenever he goes out in public for public events, he will always wear a kilt when he's in Scotland. I think the reality at the moment is that I mean, I'm half Scottish myself as well. So apart from enjoying smoked salmon, I share a similar interest as Simon does. And I think that the reality at the moment is that I think Charles, and I'd be interested to see what Helena feels as well. I think Charles and Camilla are really sort of finding their way at the moment. It's for something where I think they're trying really hard now to become the king and queen that the whole of Great Britain want and Scotland wants as well.
Yeah, of course, William and Kate are not known as the Prince and Princess of Wales in Scotland. They're known as the Duke and Duchess of Rothesay. Now, that was a title which Charles had beforehand, and so they've inherited that title. Rothesay is the capital town on the island of Bute, which is in the Firth of Clyde. So they have that title in Scotland, and that's how they're referred to. It's like I was surprised actually that Edward and Sophie weren't there, because they have the titles now as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. And I would have thought that they should have been there. I was quite surprised they weren't. But it was certainly very nice to see that William and Kate were there. I must admit, William was actually looking quite bored through part of the ceremony. And he seemed to be sort of deep in thought, but maybe we'll find out the reason why. He might have had a hangover from the night before, because the garden parties here tend to be quite raucous.
Until you said that, I was thinking of him as a parent, thinking, oh my gosh, when I get home, I'm going to have a talking to that boy or girl.
Well, possibly, yes. And I'm very glad you brought up the smoked salmon bit, not me this time, Ian.
I thought that, I mean, at the moment, and with Helena, we're putting together a new project at the moment. And part of that project is looking at some of the strange factoids about now King Charles. And two of the factoids that, because we were just talking about a bloodline a few minutes ago. And then I was surprised to discover that Charles has a direct bloodline to Vlad the Impaler and Count Dracula. And this goes back in the annals of time. So, you know, watch out, Scots, if they ever try to depose King Charles, they may find that they'll get more shocks than they may expect.
That's it. And if he likes them, he won't spit them out.
Congratulations on your new project. That's very exciting.
That is exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. What does Helena think as well? Because I think it's interesting as well. What have you heard that's been going on, you know, with King Charles at the moment? Because there's so many stories going on.
Now there is. I mean, you know, with reference to Scotland, I mean, obviously all the royals love Balmoral. That's quite obvious. So, you know, every royal is their heart is in Scotland. I mean, all I've been hearing, I mean, obviously I'm not quite in the UK at the moment, although my ear is to the ground, is about King Charles and his big clear out, you know, removing the late Queen's, I don't know, possessions from sight. But I think that's to do really with more of the horsey things and ceramics and various things. So I don't know if that extends to Scotland. I don't know. But it's quite interesting. And obviously, I mean, they're making such a big deal of it, but it's like anything. I think if you move into something, or I don't know, even if you're, I don't know, renting a place, let's just say, with all your family heirlooms, etc. around you, are going to remove certain things that maybe aren't as exciting or part of you. So I don't know what people think about that. But I think at the moment it's just such a royal time, and I love it. And I do love. I think it's just fun seeing the royals around and just hear. At the moment, I'm very interested in a different part, which is the Homewards project, which I think Prince William has really thrown himself into, which I really hope is going to absolutely change, I suppose, our homeless situation here in the UK. And that's a 5-year project, and 6 flagship locations have now been chosen. Where new space, tools and relationships, sort of showcasing what we can do about homelessness if it's like a collective effort. And as we know, 5 years will just fly. So fingers crossed. It's about preventing homelessness. And I think great. That is a real passion of his, as it has been as he travelled around to homeless charities when he was younger with his late mum. So that's one of my big things that I'm listening to at the minute. So I'm just interested to see how it will go. I don't think he's saying, hey, I'm here and I'm just going to end homelessness, but I just think that whole thought process and having that 5-year strategy that everyone will join in, it's a winner.
Yeah, it was interesting what you were saying there about the clear out. I had these mental visions going through my mind of a royal car boot sale going on, so in Hyde Park or somewhere like that, which would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
How do they actually get rid of the items? Is it at an auction or?
No,
A
I
museum?
think they're probably boxed up, and maybe it will move on to a museum or somewhere where people can see all the artifacts. I don't think he'd be so callous as to just get rid of all of his late mother's possessions that we'd be interested in. But I mean, she was obsessed with horses, wasn't she? She loved horses, so everything was, horsey related. And although it's not his passion, that's what I'd say.
Yeah. It's been said that he's already made $2.5 million from the sale of some of the Queen's horses at the moment, and I think with all these artifacts, I mean, I'm from what we hear, and there was rumours before when Charles was still Prince Charles, that he didn't really like Buckingham Palace at all and wanted to turn it into a museum. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's a lot of thinning out, and I think Helena would agree with that. There's a lot of thinning out at the moment of perhaps valuables and so forth from the royal family. We were offered the other week 100 letters, signed by the Queen and others as well. So I mean, there is there's so much going on, and there's so much going on behind the scenes at the moment, and it'll be interesting. It's a very, very interesting time in royal history, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Charles, he's an incredibly accomplished horseman as well. In his younger days with playing polo, he demonstrated his his skills there at the recent Trooping of the Colour, when the horse he had was acting up a little bit, shall we say, outside the palace gates, and yet he had absolute perfect mastery of control over that horse. So he is very. But yes, I agree. He hasn't got the passion that the Queen had in horses. I mean, that was almost her life. She was just absolutely passionate about the horses. But he is exceptionally accomplished in riding.
We have to.
Sorry.
I was going to say, we have to bring back that clip with the royal horses. Remember that?
Oh, that's
so beautiful.
One of my favorites. Absolutely love it. I mean, in fact, when Ian was saying about King Charles selling the horses, he wasn't talking about the artifacts. He was actually talking about the real horses. I just thought I'd make that clear. Not the ceramics and things. But all the royal family are accomplished horse. How would you say it? What are they?
Horse people.
What are people that write? Horse people, horsemen people. Yeah, no, they are brilliant in every way.
Equestrians.
Equestrians.
That's
it. Well done.
I do well on a pub quiz,
Oh, you'll be on my team.
Some of the strange facts that we've dug up about Prince Charles, or King Charles, I still call him Prince Charles, it's King Charles, is that I didn't know this, and I wonder whether Helena or Simon knew this as well. He's a classically trained opera singer, Charles. He trained in singing as well. And I wonder whether or not, I know he wouldn't sing his own national anthem, but I heard this morning that all the cries of deposing the King Charles were drowned out by the royal anthem, the God Save the King. And so I wonder whether or not at the moment, I mean, there's some very strange things coming out about Charles. And there was one that really tickled me just very quickly was that obviously it's almost like a Sleeping Beauty story, because you probably know the story about the princess kisses the frog and it turns back into a prince. Well, Prince Charles, now King Charles, has actually got his own frog named after him. So, when I read about this, and I've been researching it with Helena, when I started looking, I burst out laughing the other day, and people in the cafe where I was just doing a little bit of research were wondering what was going on. But to have I can actually try to attempt. I'll have to put my glasses on. I can try to attempt the name of it. It's Hylocyterus Prince Charlesy. That's the name.
It's a long name for a
Charles.
frog.
That's
Prince
the
Charles.
name of the royal frog.
I think we need to sell those Prince Charles frogs, and then the money can go to the homeless that everyone's working on. Because I would buy a Prince Charlesy.
You would, Diane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that
Prince
was a
Charlesy
perfect
sounds
word.
amazing. And then to know the money went to the homeless people, why not?
Yeah, the poor frogs missed out on the promotion. Obviously, it should be a King Charlesy now as well. I mean, you think of it. I feel quite sorry for Charles now, because he's in a job with absolutely no prospects of promotion whatsoever.
You could think that's quite comfortable. It took him a while to get there.
Well, it's time to close out. Do we have anything we want to talk about regarding food?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
that time.
Well,
I'm starving.
I am
Helena,
too.
you said you're in Cyprus.
I am in a lovely village at the moment called Galavasos, and it's beautiful. And the food's beautiful. I mean, really.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
fresh
say. There's
vegetables.
a restaurant. I'll have to look it up for you. And to this day, I tell everybody nobody can cook portobello mushrooms as well as the people in Cyprus. So there's my
Wow, I'd
food
love to know
edition today.
Oh wow, Portobello is part of a district in Edinburgh as well.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. Maybe
Big
they
export-
learned from y'all.
Export thing going on to Cyprus there, I think. But I mean, they've got amazing fish in Cyprus as well. They're very into the likes of octopus there as well, and they know how to cook octopus, because it's actually quite difficult to get the timing absolutely right in octopus. Most people just give you it, and it's like a piece of old rubber when you get it. But in Cyprus, they know how to do it. They know that they do it exceptionally well.
I always thought that Cyprus was part of Greece, but it's not.
If part of it is, yes.
Part.
I know. I looked it up.
Split
and
in
I
half.
Said no.
No,
No.
it's separate. But it's so beautiful. It really is. I haven't been here for a while, so yeah, I'm
But
exploring.
it looks good on you. Look how good Helena looks. You
I
look
know you have
beautiful.
a tan.
The
Yeah.
sun is
goodness.
really.
I'm very hot. But I'm also have a client here as well who has some amazing royal pictures. So Ian, I may bring you in on a video time to have a look through them. They're old pictures, and they're hoping to sell them. So they're quite exciting. So
Okay.
It's always good, isn't it, when you have different little outlets. At the moment, there are lots of people bringing lots of royal things out of the
Absolutely.
out of the closet. I don't know what's going on, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just see what we can do.
But just on a personal note, I always call Helena my sundial. When I first met Helena many years ago now, and if the sun was shining, she would follow the sun round. Wherever it was, she would follow the sun round. She would move her chair. And I thought, first of all, she didn't want to talk to me anymore. And it wasn't that, of course. She was just, wherever the sun was, she was directly in line with it. And she could go around in a circle, Helena, with the sun. But she looks fabulous today, doesn't she? So
Yes, absolutely.
She absolutely is
You're
glowing.
too kind. How lovely. Thank you very much, guys.
Well, let's go around and have our final thoughts to leave our audience with as we close out today's show. Diann, Floyd BOEHM, you're on.
Goodness, final thought is I absolutely love hearing about everything that happens over in the pond or over the pond. And congratulations, Simon, to your son. That was amazing to hear about.
Thanks, Diann. And congratulations to you on your latest book release. How did it go?
Very well. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Over to the goddess of sun over here, Helena.
Oh, goodness. I mean, there's so much. Again, everyone really has to find their joy. Absolutely. And also have your boundaries in place, because you will excel if you have your boundaries in place. But, at the moment I'm in Cyprus, and for me, obviously, specializing royal, it's lovely to speak with the people of Cyprus as well, and just to see how much they love our royal family. So for me, I feel I'm thrilled. Yeah. So everyone, find your joy.
Find your joy. I love that. over to you, the proud papa, Simon.
It was me again. Oh, dear. Right. Well, I mean, I've said this one before, but I feel it's very appropriate to, in view of what Paul's achieved. But the sky is not the limit when there's footprints on the moon.
Wow.
Wow, very good.
You're so good.
And he proved it.
Mr. Ian Pelham Turner.
Well, what can I say about King Charles? That he's led the most fascinating life. I think being half Scottish myself, I was watching it with great pride today. What was going on in Edinburgh at the same time. I hope what it will do is the royal family at the moment. I hope it will give us hope and encouragement and enthusiasm to move forward again. At the moment, I think we all need a lift in Great Britain right now. We're really trying to move forward with our lives, and I hope Charles and Camilla are really taken to our hearts, and the rest of the royal family, and dare I say it, the M word, Meghan and Harry, are sort of come back into the fold as well. But I think it's very interesting to get the reactions of America as well about the royal family, we will see what we will see. Watch this space is really watch the show next week, and who knows what might be happening.
That's true.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to take this time out to thank each of you who are here on the screen, because the level of professionalism and experience that you bring is like none other. And I know how in demand you are for your time and for the service and your value. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to be part of our family here.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to say that this show, Helena's back. That was weird. You dropped off. I just want to say this show is brought to us in part by the lovely, the beautiful DIANN Floyd BOEHM. Thank you so much for your sponsorship, DIANN. And we're going to close out with a clip from DIANN. Here we go. We'll see you all next week.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, DIANN BOEHM. I'm so happy to have you here today.
DIANN Floyd BOEHM tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's little girl in the moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at DiannFloydBOEHM.com. Visit DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com. That's DiannFloydBOEHM.com.